all you need to know about Metaverse. Complete survey on technologies, extended reality, artificial intelligence, blockchain, computer vision, and future mobile networks. Written by Jim Colajuta. Read for you by Jessica Andrews. Chapter 1. The History of Virtual Worlds. The Tale of Virtual Worlds is a story about storytelling. The first virtual worlds would have been created by the spoken word and myths passed down from generation to generation through word of mouth. The storyteller described the world, but it was constructed in the minds of people who listened to the stories and imagined it. As a result, the audience's virtual worlds were filled with the intimately known imagined characters, locations, and events of myth and folklore. According to the orator, the listeners used their imaginations to create the world as a personal reality. As this method of storytelling matured, it became possible to transmit these virtual worlds to fixed media. The capacity to write on paper resulted in constructing the first sort of persistent virtual environment. When these worlds were reduced to paper, they were independent of the storyteller. They could withstand the ravages of time and the risks inherent with verbal storytelling. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit are two of the most notable modern works of fiction that built a virtual world and inspired numerous online visual virtual worlds. These books are set in the hypothetical world and profit greatly from thorough descriptions of distinct imaginary geographic places like Middle-earth and the Shire. The topographical elements are so clearly described and illustrated with hand-drawn maps by Tolkien himself that one may visually and consistently recreate regions from the novel. The most famous is, of course, J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter universe. Tolkien's works are acknowledged as having the largest influence on the development of the first electronic virtual worlds and the emergence of the fantasy literature genre. The fantasy wargame Dungeons & Dragons followed. It was set in Tolkien's universe and depicted the exploits of numerous characters from his works. In contrast to directing armies of game pieces in typical war games, the Dungeons & Dragons players identified with the feeling they played. Because the player assumed the role of their favorite character, the game was dubbed a role-playing game. Tolkien and Dungeons & Dragons spawned the rapid development of computer-based virtual worlds. One can guess the precise causes of this evolution. Still, the time was exactly right for the transfer from book to computer, especially given the rapidly increasing field of electronic computing, which reached exponential growth in the latter part of the 20th century. The Colossal Cave adventure game, 18, first in the 1970s, was the very first interactive fiction game. The computer would simulate and narrate a situation as the user typed in what to do next in simple English. The player can then begin exploring the area by utilizing rudimentary instructions such as forest, building, east, downstream, and up, which are object words describing places, and action words such as take, unlock, and eat. By combining these phrases in different ways, one may interact with the surroundings and navigate through this rudimentary virtual world. The demand for a socially engaging environment was initially solved by utilizing the capabilities of university mainframe computers. Using nothing more than a monitor and a keyboard, these computers allowed numerous users to log into the system simultaneously. This allowed consumers to gain access to technology and computing capacity that would otherwise be prohibitively expensive for private individuals at the expense of the university.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?